Yeah, the mainstream media wrote Sanders off a long time ago.
Yeah, it's
He was never written on.
no, no. They wanted to pretend he didn't exist.
I mean, the mainstream media is basically giving Clinton good pub and bashing Trump, but bashing Trump is only making Trump stronger.
The unintended consequences, as we say.
Yeah, but the intended consequence is it brings in eyeballs and it creates revenue. Talking about climate change or talking about income inequality does not get revenue, but quoting Donald Trump as saying, "Oh, Hillary's bathroom break was disgusting."
Oh,
I mean, what big? So he said going to the her bathroom break was disgusting. Think of all the press that got.
yeah. This is the sad state of affairs that we're in. As far as journalism goes today, it is simply incomprehensible. And Trump. I know he's going up in the polls, but when you have 50% of the people in the country who would be embarrassed if he was president. Now, Hillary's not doing too well because only 45%
Right. I mean, either one is embarrassing, which just shows what it's come down to, and the mainstream media controls the narrative for the most part,
Yeah,
or controlling the narrative that people see with that form of media, and they control the narrative to make money and to get their person in because they know someone like Clinton will protect all their interests
yeah.
and will not shake anything up, and everything is cool. And Trump, I still think everyone believes is going to implode at some point. It's not happening.
Not
And
happening yet. I think what Jeb and we'll talk about the diabolical one in a minute, but what Jeb's thinking is he's going to say something that's so outrageous at some point that everybody's going to go, wait a second, this is absolutely.
well, at this point, he it's like you live in a place with a beautiful view, and eventually the view disappears.
Mhm.
You just don't see it anymore. You only appreciate it when you see it once in a while.
Yeah,
Trump has thrown out so many quote unquote inappropriate comments, the view has disappeared. It doesn't matter anymore what he says. No, but there's nothing he can say that's not going to shock anybody.
yeah.
And so
I think you're right. In a sense, I mean, the Putin comment about, well, did he? I mean, does anybody think that Putin didn't kill a bunch of people, including journalists?
yeah,
Uh,
but then Trump says, well, we kill people too, which might be a veiled thing of look at anybody that gets close to the Clintons. Where do they end up?
yeah. Well, there again, the skeletons will never stop coming
Hmm.
out of the closet, and then Trump saying, well, maybe I'll have to talk about Bill. I mean, and his affairs and so forth. As I said, if it's Hillary and the Donald, it's going to be like a Brooklyn street fight, or he's from Queens, so it'll be a Queens street fight. Um, and,
And the funny thing is he actually Sanders pointed out the deal with wages. Sanders was pointing out, like, look, I should get Trump supporters because most of them are poor white people. And here's this guy saying wages are too high, and dude, your peeps are the struggling people, the struggling white people. And so Trump has backpedaled on that a little bit from what Sanders pointed out. So, um, and that's really what the narrative really is that people don't have jobs and they're not making money, and and the media is trying to frame everything in wedge issues like abortion. That's the big thing they're throwing out there again, and even immigration, and like a few Syrian refugees versus people every day waking up going, how am I going to pay my bills?
or the 94 million people who either don't have a job, and this is, remember, this isn't the whole population. This is 94 million potential workers.
Right.
This is not 13 and 14-year-old kids or 8-year-old kids. These are people who are trying to make their way. And I think that's where Bernie, you're right, I think there could be a crossover to Bernie. And of course, that's what neither party wants. I mean, because if they cross over to Bernie, Hillary's in trouble. And the Republicans don't want to lose him. We have that dynamic going on.
Well, what we're getting is a struggle between the establishment, and the mainstream media is the establishment, basically calling all the shots, versus outsiders that aren't beholden to their interests, and those outsiders being Sanders and Trump. And Sanders is getting no run from the media, and Trump is getting tons of it, but it's his outrageousness, and they're just pouring gasoline on the fire, like, okay, let's burn this guy out, let's keep making Hillary look great, let's keep showing Hillary in a good light and get our girl in there. But the people, man, the people, they don't want another establishment person.
No.
And like if Sanders was getting the run that Trump was getting, he would be crushing in the polls right now.
Well, and I mean, I was watching Meet the Press this weekend, and our favorite Ms. Wasserman was on there. But being totally ludicrous, and then they mentioned about the pantsuits, and here she's wearing a pantsuit. But anyway, they had a fellow from Yahoo who's the political correspondent for Yahoo, and he made a couple of really good points about exactly what you just said. Look, if you're an outsider like Trump is or like Bernie is, people will go to you. But he was talking primarily about Trump, simply because you're an outsider, and they don't want another insider. This is, again, the biggest theme today is not that Donald Trump is really so great, but he's an outsider, and they're hoping for some change.
Well, the thing is that with Trump, you're going to roll the dice. The dice is getting rolled. With Clinton, the dice is loaded. With the establishment candidates, you already know the dice. It's going to come up 7. It's going to come up. It's the dice is loaded. With Trump, you're rolling the dice. It's like, well, I don't know, man. Maybe it's time to roll the dice.
Well,
with Sanders, you know what you get, but he's not getting any play.
Well, but see, the problem with Hillary is you know what you're getting, and the people don't want that. I mean, is there any more insider than Hillary Clinton? I don't think so. I mean, I don't even know that Jeb. You'd have to say the only one even close would be Jeb, and really they're ironically both wanting the same thing. So
yeah, I mean, there's not.
But there's no progression. There's no change. There's no.
No, yeah. and Hillary's foreign policy is basically Republican. It's the same as you're getting a Republican. People vote for Hillary. You're getting a Republican.
Well, I mean, then you'd have to say Obama's a Republican, because look at what I mean. Essentially,
yeah, no, I mean, Obama definitely. Somebody's telling him what to do. It's not Obama. That's not Obama now is not the same guy who was running for president 8 years ago.
Totally different.
I mean, just the TTP alone tells you somebody took him in a back room and said, "All right, you had your Obamacare, but this is what we want." Aristophanes says it's payback time, buddy.
Exactly. So
I mean, he looks like a different person now.
Yeah.
And so, but it's the global corporatism and their media arms that are deciding everything. And
so far they're just deciding who gets coverage. But when people go into the voting booth, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And
that's a study they did on Trump. Is that people, if they don't know they're being asked, say they like Trump. So there's a lot of people that secretly like him. They've done these tests, and he scores better if people are anonymously supporting him.
Sure.
As opposed to like actually talking to somebody and saying,
yeah.
"Oh, I want to vote for Trump." But Trump is a roll of the dice.
A roll of the dice in what sense? In that you don't know what you're going to get?
You don't know exactly. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. But you know something's going to change. You know it's going to be different. You just don't know exactly how.
And you don't know if it'll actually be better or
Right?
worse.
You don't know. You don't know. You're rolling the dice. Clinton, the dice it's loaded. It's loaded. And with Bernie, you know what you're getting, but he's just not getting the coverage. And definitely there's a conspiracy not to give him coverage, and who knows what'll come out next if they try to profile him again.
What I want to know, though, is who is running Bernie's media campaign. Have you seen a Bernie commercial?
Well, do we see any commercials in California?
Yeah, I've seen Jeb commercials and I've seen Trump commercials.
Okay.
So yeah, and I've seen one or two Cruz commercials.
Okay.
So, but
Bernie's thing is more social. But I mean, I've gotten a lot of social media blasts from him and seen a lot of coverage in social media and other stuff like that where I haven't seen anything from anybody else.
Yeah.
And he's active on Facebook and he's active on all that other stuff. So, and that's the whole case in point why the if he's not advertising as much, say in California, I mean, it feeds into itself. Candidates with super PACs mean they have money to spend on commercials, which benefits the media companies.
Yeah, well, that's why you see a Jeb commercial in California, right?
Yeah, Jeb, exclamation, and he still has the exclamation point, by the way. He still has it. It's still there.
Some things.
No, it's still there.
Well, that ad I was just talking about is not on there anymore.
Okay, but
so they're probably recycling some old stuff where they still have the exclamation.
Either that, or they haven't decided to buy
just Jeb.
Yeah, or they haven't decided to rebuy the banners because when you see him doing his town hall meetings, there's still the exclamation point behind it. But maybe they already spent all that money, and so they're sort of like in between the exclamation point and not exclamation point. I forgot he's got like a new thing that he's trying to do, a new hashtag.
Oh.
It's pretty lame. I forgot what it was. Because Jeb can fix it. And he was like trying to play the Vito Corleone for a while, and he's got some new one now.
Well, I think these I don't know how many weeks is it before the.
It's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up pretty quickly. I think we're going to know after that first one. If Bernie gets a lot of traction, he's in the race. He's in the race. If he doesn't, it's going to be a really tough road. I think he's just going to fade. So I think this is a high energy time for him. He's got to get out there and the ridiculous thing over the weekend is the political pundits are saying, but will people actually turn out for the Iowa caucuses for Trump? This is ridiculous. They're turning out in droves for rallies. There are only two people who are turning out for Bernie and Trump.
Right.
So if they're turning out for a rally, why aren't they going to turn out for the caucus?
Well, and the other thing, too, is someone like Bernie has, record number of small donors. And if you donated money to a candidate, what, are you going to not vote for them?
Yeah. Yeah, I donated money. I'm coming to your rallies, but I'm not going to show up and vote.
But I'm not going to show up and vote.
Yeah, that doesn't equate. But somehow to the mainstream media, it equates.
Yeah, well, the mainstream media is another example of loaded dice. They've loaded the dice and are dictating the agenda for whatever their best interests are. It's not even, how can you call what do they call now? Like CNN, the Clinton News Network? I mean, how can you even call these people call themselves news?
Dan Heather, the guy is revolving in his grave. The freaking guy isn't even dead yet.
I mean, look at the Fox correspondents. If you can't rock a tight, bright-colored mini dress with great freaking highlights, you don't have a job.
No.
You're out of a job. Do you think if any of those newscaster hostesses gain a little weight, they keep their job? If they can't freaking rock that bright blue mini dress? Seriously. Do they have a job?
I'm sure they have a weigh-in every day. When you come into work, you have to step on the scale.
You know?
And if you put on half a pound when they bring out the menu tray, for your snack. It's just all carrots and celery.
They spend more time in hair and makeup prep than they do researching any stories.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's ridiculous, but it gets people tuning in. I mean, is there any guest that can't keep their eyes off Trish Regan's legs when she's interviewing him? Have you ever seen anybody who's just not what?
Yeah, she's got a talent, all right.
So that there it is for you, and they're banking on the fact that most people that's just sort of how they watch their news and how they process things. But enthusiastic voters and people who do vote are a little bit more informed.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, we'll see what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting, and it could be another shockwave sent through the DNC. Or what do they call it? They don't call it the DNC. They call it, because I get their stuff, it's like DCC or something. Anyway.
Well, it's the third way Democrats. It's the third way Democrat Party, and who knows what they already have somewhere they have in Wasserman Schultz's office. There's a whiteboard with kneecap plans for Sanders with just all these things they're going to do. Well, if this doesn't work, we'll do this. There's probably people full time working on digging up dirt, like they're paid by the Democratic National Committee to destroy Sanders. That's their full-time job. They're paid 24/7 to figure out, all right, what can we do next?
Yeah, she was so dismissive of Bernie, which I thought, for someone who's supposed to represent the party, what she was representing is the power brokers in the party, not Democrats.
Well, the other thing, too, though, is that Sanders wasn't a Democrat until recently. So they'd probably look at, well, who are you? You're just some independent calling yourself a Democrat. You're not a real Democrat.
Well, but that's maybe what they think. If you really look at it, he's the most democratic person in the.
No, exactly, but that's not how they look at it.
And they don't want to look at it
that's
way.
not how they look at it. So, yeah, she's horrible, and sadly for them, it's firing people. It's firing people up for Sanders, and it's turning people off to Clinton, where people are saying, you know what, my vote is worth more than holding my nose. I'll vote freaking Green Party before I vote for. No, this is progressive people are saying before I vote for Clinton, because you know what? What's a vote to vote for somebody you don't like? Just because I think this and this,
Well, in fact, people would say, well, it would be a wasted vote if you voted, against Clinton, say in California, because they think she's going to carry it. And why? Because she has the Hollywood Silicon Valley power groups behind her. Why? Because they don't want anything to change.